Welcome back to my channel. Now, in this video, I'm going to be looking at news coverage that was given to an absolutely horrific incident that took place quite recently and resulted in the death of 14-year-old boy Daniel Anjorin, who was killed whilst walking to school in a suburb in London. Now, this attack is just so it's one of those incidents that you would expect to see in a movie of some description, but we do see these happen. It's not um, completely out of the blue, but of course, when it happens, there is a ton of media coverage. And in this case, very lopsided, strange, um, disturbing media coverage in the way that it was reported. Now, there are some facts of the case. Those facts will become clear as I go through each piece of media coverage. The reason why I'm doing this is because as I continue to create content for us to improve our media, digital, and political literacy, it's important to point out how the media reports on incidents, and especially incidents like this where race plays a part in it. Why is that? Well, we'll come to that. Number one. Number two, also where there's politics plays a part in it as well. So, the way that the story is framed is then used to attack someone's politics, because there is a dimension of knife crime taking a hold of London. So there's a big criticism of the London mayor. But there's also other sort of things that we should be looking at, such as the use of passive voice, rather than being clear in the active voice, or what actually occurred, because we see that being used in other instances and in other stories. For instance, if the attacker was an immigrant, how the story would then be framed. But let's get to some of the stories. I want to handle this one sensitively because it's very fresh, it's very raw, but regardless of that, a 14-year-old boy with a very promising future um, has died. And there is a family and plenty of loved ones and a community in mourning. So I want to be very sensitive with this one. I know we get into the comments and have a lot of back and forth, but so here we have family of boy killed with sword on way to school, paid tribute to amazing son. This is in the Independent again. So what do we see? What's wrong here? Killed with sword. No mention of who's done it. It's a very, very passive headline. It's not telling us who did it. We don't know anything about the person who's actually done it. We just have this sort of amazing son, and that's about it. So let's see, what's the first paragraph saying? It's saying the family of a boy killed in a sword attack in London on Tuesday have paid tribute to their most loved and amazing son. Daniel Anjorin, 14, was killed while walking to school in Hainault in an incident that saw 4 others hospitalised. In a new statement issued via the Met Police, his family said, "We as a family are devastated by the loss of our beloved son, Daniel." Again, still no mention of who did it. It is difficult for us at this time to process what has happened to him and that he will never come home. Daniel had left the house for school and then he was gone. Ooh. Our children have lost their loving and precious brother, and we have lost the most loved and amazing son. We would like to send our best wishes to other victims of this unthinkable incident, because there were other victims who were attacked. We would also like to thank the local community for all the support. Still no mention of the killer. On Saturday afternoon, Arsenal Football Club paid tribute to Daniel, who he presumably was a fan of. He was a keen supporter, with his picture shown on the big screens ahead of the Premier League game against Bournemouth. During the match, there was a moving moment of applause throughout the Emirates Stadium in the 40th minute, with a banner reading "R.I.P. Daniel" among the crowd. Ooh, just shouldn't be the case, should it? It shouldn't. Banquets, bouquets of flowers, handwritten notes, Arsenal memorabilia, and teddies have also been left at the bottom of Lang Close where the incident unfolded. It's still an incident that unfolded. Bearing in mind this is only 2 days old, it's been established a while for a while now who did it. Okay, so a friend of Daniel's uncle has said the number of floral tributes left for the schoolboy shows the outpouring of support from the whole country. Alistair Soyode, who is from Nigeria and lives in London, said people had come from near and far to pay their respects and offer solidarity to those affected by the attack. Daniel is going to one of the best schools, a private school, meaning the families struggle hard in order for them to put their children to the best ability in terms of education. For this to happen, nobody deserves that. Sympathy, heartfelt with the family and the community. There's a drawing there. Staff and pupil at the school, a statement from them. Again, there's a fundraiser, and there's no mention of who or why. So we're going to go to The Guardian next. Hundreds attend vigil for boy, 14 killed in Hainault. Boy for boy. Can't his name be in the headline? Okay. And then you have the sort of like the, we have the headline and the sub line. Okay, the word's not coming to me, but Daniel Anjorin, who was attacked while walking to school in East London, has been described as a true scholar. And there you can see the family. Again, there is no mention. Okay. A candlelit vigil in tribute to Daniel. He was killed in the attack with a samurai sword. This is East London, which was used to deliver fatal wounds to his neck and chest. 4 other people were attacked. The vigil was held at the car park for Hainault Underground Station. Scanning it. Nothing. Okay, so on to the next. This is Sky News. So this is another example of very lopsided reporting. We have an image of the person. Now, it could be that those articles are more tributes, so you might not want to show the sort of like images of the killer, but here we have the alleged attacker. Now, this is Thursday, 2nd of May. Okay, perhaps at that point it wasn't established who, but I believe it was sort of established fairly soon after the incident. So, alleged attacker broke into the family home, attacked man caught here. Spanish Brazilian national Marcus Aurelio Ordini Monzo appeared in court on Thursday, accused of killing Daniel. Jumped out of a bush. There's a video that's circulating. The man accused of killing allegedly broke into a home, describing him with his name, his nationality, the location, proceedings in the court. That is about it there. So again, not much. They're either keeping it passive or just very factual. But remember, that's not always the case with the way these kinds of crimes are reported. And it's really important for us to note why that is. This is from BBC. Devastated by loss. This is only 2 days ago. Loss, not murder. Interesting. Again, very passive. Not as detailed as you might find other pieces about other incidents, but okay. So there's some tributes here about fundraiser as well. This is after the event. This is kind of mirroring the piece, similar to the Independent piece. It talks about the person who's been charged at the very end, and their name has just been given, Marcus Genie Monzo, 36, from Newham. He's also been charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts of causing grievous bodily harm, aggravated burglary, and possession of bladed article. He's been remanded in custody, will next appear at the Old Bailey on Tuesday, that's today. All right. LBC is, I think, a little bit more maybe compassionate. I don't know the best word to use it. Responsible in terms of reporting. Let's see. So the mourners gathering at the vigil. You've got photos of family, loved ones, and mourners. And again, it's more about the vigil, and that's fine, presumably because there's been a lot of reporting in the last few days. So that could also explain why there's not a great deal of detail about who did it. But now we're coming to the last two pieces, which will probably illustrate my point a lot more. And this is the standard. It's an attack, a sword attack, but again, it's not talking about who's done it. Armed man, violent rampage, tribute being held, names them. Again, very factually, not sort of loaded with any sort of like leading characteristics that could be almost like, it's not politicized here. But now we go to, of course, we go to the Sun. So a lot of the tabloids were accused of reporting in this way. Now, I apologize, it's going to be lots of ads because that's how these tabloids make their money. So let's try and zoom in as much as possible. So earlier on in the reporting, you will have noticed that, firstly, the way that they spoke about the attacker was man. At one point, they called him, I'm not sure whether it was the Sun or another tabloid, but Sword Lad. Again, it's knife to death, sword, man. Yeah. And so I just think it's really important that we urge the media to be consistent, but also we remind ourselves and others at the sort of lopsided, upside down way that these things are reported. If the victim wasn't black, would it have been reported in this way? If the attacker was not white, would it have been reported in this way? You can't get a reliable take. Out of 10 articles, maybe a handful will be quite accurate, and then the others will just be misleading, or the use of passive voice will be employed, and it's just not helpful for anyone. It's not really informing anyone. We cannot rely on the media to report on matters in a fair and balanced and consistent way, and that's why I've done this video, just to kind of give you a snapshot of how this has been reported, and then if and when there is something similar to this that takes place, and perhaps the identities, the demographics change, you'll notice a difference in the way things are worded, and the gravitas given to the story. That's my take on it, and my effort in us bringing more awareness to our news consumption. But I hope you found this useful. If not, let me know in the comments. That's absolutely fine. If for any reason you found this distressing content, then I do apologize. I've tried to provide as much of a warning at the start of this video. And again, we must share our condolences and support for those who are suffering this unimaginable loss.